Andrea Bradley moving Composite B on countering the far right on behalf of the STUC General Council. Congress, over the last year we've witnessed a broad political shift to the right. At home and abroad we're now hearing debates that we thought were over, and we watch laws and policies passed that would have been unthinkable not so long ago. And this shift hasn't come out of nowhere. It's the direct result of a series of failures, the most important being the failure of our politicians, including our governments at Holyrood and Westminster, to prioritise working people. It's the failure of parts of the media to challenge bigoted and racist narratives, and fundamentally, it's the result of the super-rich drive for more personal wealth to amass, to hoard and to count. With public services rationed, the money in our pockets worth less, and the outlook for our kids looking bleak, no wonder people are disheartened, disillusioned and angry. Failure by local and national governments to address these concerns and take decisions that would make a material difference in people's lives have left a vacuum, one that the populist right has been quick to seize upon, preying on people's insecurities and fears and whipping up anger and blame. Last year we witnessed appalling scenes of racist and Islamophobic rioting, targeting Muslim, black and minority ethnic communities, wreaking destruction and spreading mayhem and alarm. These textbook tactics of the far right look to divide working class communities, blaming asylum seekers for housing shortages and NHS waiting times, blaming our LGBT plus community for fracturing the nuclear family, and even blaming scientists and experts for misinformation. Classic scapegoating of vulnerable groups and rejection of reason. This has real life consequences for people. Hate crime has soared and communities are more fearful. In schools across Scotland, teachers are dealing with dangerous behaviours and attitudes stemming from so-called influencers streaming misogyny online and hate 24/7. We're seeing the far right target people in organisations and groups as diverse as loyalist organisations, community safety groups, climate denial groups and sports fan groupings. We're clear, of course, that ordinary citizens associated with these groups shouldn't automatically be labelled far right or racist. Colleagues, our job is to unite people, not to push people further away or to further polarise the debate. Similarly, while Nigel Farage is a fraudster and an enemy of workers' rights, who's willing to use every racist slur and stereotype there is to win power, it would be wrong to condemn people thinking of voting reform as racist. The picture is far more complex than that. People are desperately looking for an alternative after decades of political failure that they live the consequences of daily. We need to take practical actions to address this challenge. We need to offer solutions that build unity, to spell out solutions to economic challenges, to change the narrative and point the finger at the super rich, to educate, not ostracise, and to make the case for democracy by showing its power in the workplace. So we will do our bit, taking to the streets when needed, but importantly providing our reps with the resources and training that they need to build workplace unity and build community campaigns with our trade union councils. As noted in the General Council statement issued this morning, we're calling on everyone to take action while there are such live existential threats to democracy and to rights. In good faith, the STUC has engaged in the summit to tackle the far right, but this Scottish Government summit can't just be a talking shop. We won't let either the UK or the Scottish Government off the hook. We resolutely will not let them use this debate to hide their own failings. If they're serious about protecting democracy and social cohesion, they need to show it by actual deeds, not just words. The STUC General Council remains unequivocally clear that we need to punch up, not down. We need wealth taxes to fund the investment needed in our public services, and we need our politicians to be wholly accountable as proof that democracy isn't broken. Building working class unity is nowhere on the agenda of the far right. It's the thing that scares them most, but it's our job, comrades, to make it happen. Please support the composite.
Thanks very much, Andrea. I now call NASUWT to second the motion. Could you go to the rostrum at the front, please? Thanks, Delegate.
Hi, Kim Glanders, NASUWT. The world is a scary place at the moment, and for those of us with a protected characteristic, or two or three, it's downright terrifying. The othering of people with protected characteristics is constant and it's tiring. I'm tired. I'm a woman and a member of the LGBT plus community, and I just want one day when I don't feel like my very existence is being attacked. As a teacher in secondary, I'm absolutely disgusted by the casual use of bigoted language by our young people. I thought things were getting better. I felt safer, but we're going backwards. The erosion of rights, the removing of safeguardings, and the lack of consequences make many young people believe that this language and behaviour is acceptable. The way that boys are speaking about girls and women teachers is spine-chilling. I don't have to listen to you. You're an effing woman. Why do you even have a job? Women are only good for one thing. You've got quite the attitude on you for a girl, said to me. It doesn't matter if they say no. Children. These are children that are saying these things. So why has it become so bad? I believe social media is a huge influence. They consume 30-second sound bites of right-wing hate and vitriol like an addiction. The right wing are desperate for you to believe that as a member of the LGBT plus community that I'm trying to corrupt children. It's not me that's doing the corrupting. I can honestly barely get the kids to stay in their seat. When do you think I've got time to teach them to be gay? They have, however, taken time to learn all the slurs about LGBT people that they can, and they are very free and generous with their use. Children grow up to be adults. They are in my classroom at the moment, but they will be standing next to you in the workplace soon. We must stand together and fight against the far right. They're coming for us first, but they're going to come for you next. By standing together and supporting each other, we can ensure that they lose the grip they have on our young people. We give them a safe and nurturing future where they can thrive. Don't let them steal those futures and that future happiness before they've even had a chance to experience it. We can't allow them to go after the children, and that's where it's starting. Please support this motion.
Thank you, Delegate. I now call Edinburgh Trade Union Council to speak in support of the composite.
Claire Robertson, Edinburgh Trade Union Council, supporting Composite B. The far right sow their seeds of hate through disinformation and misinformation. They use their positions of power to spin and spread mistrust and othering of groups in our society. They pick up on the weakest and the most marginalised, and they target and blame different people from themselves for the lack of housing, for the cuts to the services and underfunding of the structures that we hold dear, which is wholly the fault of the mismanagement of previous governments. They lie. We must urgently take every opportunity to call out their rhetoric as lies. We must show our outrage that those in power have allowed the creation of billionaires by the rape of the world's resources and from the labour of the working class. We must stand against child poverty, the removal of supports for those with disability or in retirement. And the way we do that is to organise together now. This is our line, and they will not cross it. Delegates, we must forget the things that divide us, because we are facing an enemy in the far right who have huge wealth and who will not stop until we are all under the heel of their oppression. Look through these ways to stand against our enemy and resolve to fight them until we win. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. I now call Clydebank Trade Union Council to speak in support of the composite.
Comrade Tom Morrison, Clydebank Trade Union Council, and just a report that we've got fascist activity in Clydebank. Yes, Clydebank of all places, the home of Red Clydeside, the UCS working. Pato Alternative have been hanging up banners displaying race hatred, and we're handing out their leaflets. The Trades Council have leafleted the town, we've held stalls to have discussions with the people on the streets. We put pressure on the politicians to contact the police over hate crimes, but they come back and talk about the spin the free speech line. We wrote to the Clydebank Post and got a front page spread, and I hope you can maybe see it on the screen up there. This report drew a lot of comment on the paper's Facebook page, some condemning the racist dog whistles, while others were asking what was racist about what was on display and seeing condemnation as an attack on free speech. It's disappointing to see people understandably alienated from the system, but drawn the wrong conclusion and echoing well-heeled racist politicians who claim they're anti-establishment here and across the pond. Banners claim that our pensioners received the inadequate reward after a lifetime of work, which is true compared with other nations. Meanwhile, these asylum seekers get everything. In reality, people fleeing poverty, environmental disasters and war, many of which Britain had a hand in starting, get the absolute basics would hardly cover the essentials. Allowing them to work and pay taxes would be a first step towards undermining these allegations. What about the claim that free speech has been curtailed? This is something repeatedly claimed by the far right. However, if that rhetoric is restricting others from being able to go about safely in their business, then these allegations should be curtailed. I've run out of time, but just to say that part of our work, we've got an anti-cuts meeting coming up. We've got Royce and Andrea speaking on the 26th of May. Also, we've got there's a by-election in Clydebank the 15th of May, where Reform are standing, and the Trades Council has produced a leaflet, and we're going to go around that constituency, putting it through doors. Thanks very much. Support the composite.
Thanks, Tom. I now call East Kilbride and South Lanarkshire Trade Union Council to speak in support of the composite.
Congress, over the next few days we'll see robust debates and discussions tackling a number of issues. The degradation of public services, workplace conditions and pay, the constant vilification, criminalisation of working class members of our community. This all feeds in to the issues that are raised in this composite. And in passing this today, what we do is we'll set an ideological foundation for the future debates we'll have over the next few days as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. I now call the SDUC Black Workers Conference to speak in support of the composite.
Thank you. Talat Ahmed, Co-Vice Chair of the Black Workers Committee, supporting Composite B. Delegates, I'm sure that many of you are aware that in Glasgow there was a racist attack that took place last week against an Asian young man. Before that, here in Dundee, again, there was a horrific racial attack against another young Asian man. And this is not at all surprising. You know, when Andrea moved this composite, she referenced what we saw last summer, the scenes of pogroms, of race riots that took place in many cities in England. I am English, and I was in England last summer, and I tell you, it was not at all edifying. And for the first time in my life, I felt scared and conscious about my skin colour in a way that I have never done before in my life, and I don't want to ever feel like that again. The fact that we have this toxic narrative, of course, should come as no surprise. Other delegates have already referenced the threat of Reform UK, and they are an ever-present existential threat to us. Standing in the local elections, their toxic politics. Farage last week in his election broadcast said that if they come to power, they are going to appoint a minister for deportations. Minister for deportations. That is 1930s Nazi-esque as far as I am concerned, and it sends a chill up my spine, and it should do to everybody in here. They had an election poster against a Union Jack with 3 angelic, white, blonde-haired, blue-eyed girls saying, "Save our white children." This is the kind of filthy, racist rhetoric and reality that we are dealing with. And this is why this composite is absolutely critical. We have to reject the politics of scapegoating and reject the toxic politics of divide and rule. That's why it is critical to challenge them at the ballot box. You know, I applaud the Trades Council for the leafleting that they're going
Thanks,
to be
Delegate.
doing.
Could you wind up, please?
I will wind up on this. Support this composite. Make sure we stand united to support all the initiatives for anti-racism. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. I now call the STUC LGBT+ conference to speak in support of the composite. Thank you.
Good morning, Congress. I'm the 9th speaker on this, and all my colleagues and comrades have said everything that I was going to say, so I'm going to keep this very short and sweet. My name is Anne Cameron Burns. I'm from the STUC LGBT conference speaking on this composite. And I think I just want to say one thing for our younger delegates. If you're not aware of a poem by a pastor called Martin Nuremberg, I think his surname is, sorry for not pronouncing it right, and this is the thing that I would just like to leave with you, is the fact it's a poem, it's called "And Then They Came For Me," and look it up, because this is what is happening. Unless we stand together, comrades, against this far right, then we will lose. We have to do this collectively. In the last sentence, or the last part of his poem, he says, "They came for the Jews and they did not speak out, because I was not Jewish, or black, or LGBT, or disabled." I'm adding that wee bit in, that's not in the poem. "And then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me." Comrades, please support this composite.